Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Namo Namaha, Om Namo Namaha. Dear Divine Selves, today I intend to talk about one of the most fundamental issues confronting the mankind from time immemorial. The central question in the life of human race as a whole and as a human being in person remains the same despite so much of so-called scientific, technological, economic advancement and transformation in last 200 to 300 years. Since the beginning of life, not only the human beings, but all living beings are propelled, driven, and in a way even plagued by just one problem or one desire. Desire for happiness. The desire for happiness in its comprehensive sense is the propelling and driving force of all living creatures. But that desire for happiness has taken so many perverted dimensions and distortions that the humanity has lost any sense of its direction. It's very difficult to find even a single human being who knows for sure as to where he or she is moving, what he or she is essentially aspiring for, trying for. He or she has been told by the family, the friends, the society and the systems that you should do this, you should do that. This is your responsibility as a good citizen of a particular nation state or as a good member of a society or a particular faith or religion. But these are all external instructions, borrowed beliefs. Have you ever examined for yourself as to what is the real object you are running after? We have taken too many things for granted. When I ask this question in the beginning, you would wonder, oh, what a stupid question. There is not one objective or one desire in my life. Every day I have dozens or hundreds of desires, and they keep changing, growing in width and depth and dimensions. The more of them are fulfilled, the more of them crop up the next morning. Even then you are not propelled to halt and examine as to what's wrong. You are running after something that you don't know, like a ghost. Because we have taken for granted that what we are doing, what we are running after, are very valid searches, seekings, and valid reasons. That is why about 2,500 years ago, when Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. An unexamined life is not worth living. It's a total wastage of time, energy, and the life that you think that you have lived or living. The same fundamental question or truth it's indicating towards is found in all the metaphysics from across the time and clime. In different languages, in different metaphors, expressed, communicated through different perspectives. But that's the most fundamental question. The Vedanta philosophy, Yoga Vasishta Maharamayana, is a great treatise of non-dual Advaita Vedanta, and it in the very beginning says that an unexamined life, or the wording is there different, without realizing one's true nature, if you end up your life without realizing your true nature, realizing the true self, and everyone who is living a life oblivious of the true nature of oneself, that life is worse than that of a donkey. The word is gardhava, exact word in Sanskrit. The person, the human being who ends up his or her life without knowing the true nature of himself or herself has lived a life that is worse than that of a donkey. The worse than donkey because donkey is not programmed and equipped by natural process of evolution to explore, inquire about the true nature of himself, but you as a human being are programmed. You have the inner equipments to examine and understand in its utter nakedness the full depth and dimensions of your existence. But your rat race for success, mind the word, success. Each one of us is so mad after success. And definition of success for every human being is different. Though broadly, all of us are running after either power, wealth, money, sensual pleasure, name, fame, appreciation, respect. These are some of the broader dimensions of our search. So our continuous race for success, every moment our life, and to be precise, our mind and intellect are preoccupied by the feverish mind the word. This is used by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and Jagat Guru Adi Shankara also uses this term somewhere else. Every single desire for worldly attainment is a fever. Mind the word desire. The difference between desire and needs. The food is your biological and physical needs. Clothing to save your body, protect your body from extreme cold or heat, is also a need. Sleep is your bona fide need of the body. So, I am not talking about, neither are all the great philosophers, seers and sages and scriptures talking about that. These are not problems. Your need for food, housing, clothing, drinking water, and other biological, physical requirements, these are valid needs, and they are not the problem. You must fulfill them. And they are not in the list of the problems that you are facing in your life. Vast majority of the humanity is not plagued by the need for food, health, education, housing. Of course they have to work for that, but that is not a problem. You are not handicapped. You can work and you do work. That doesn't create so much of complication, barring an insignificant or let's say a significant proportion of the people deprived even through that angle also. But it's because of the indirect religion of the perversions in the vast majority of humanity that they are never satisfied. The people who are affluent, they have acquired huge amount of wealth, power, and influence, and yet they want to control and command the entire universe for their own personal aggrandizement or personal profiteering. They indirectly are causing this deprivation, poverty, denial of basic medical care or education. So everything in the world presenting as a problem in the sense of denial of the basic rights and entitlements for the survival of a dignified human life, are also traced back somewhere else in the unfulfilled desire of the ego of the powerful people. As long as there continues to be even a single human being who is propelled by desire, desire means ego, desire means illusion, desire means that which doesn't exist, desire means constant mental projection, which is never going to end. Therefore, as long as even a single human being on the planet is dominated by ego-based desire, the rest of humanity is going to be also affected in some or the other way. But it's an extreme case I am talking about. What to talk about one human being? Vast majority of the human beings are preoccupied, as if possessed by ego. The ghost of ego, the mind, the desire has possessed them, and despite having all the basic amenities for a dignified, so-called dignified life, they still continue to acquire more wealth, more money, more power. Why is it so? Is it not possible that human beings in general, and those people who have at least managed to acquire all the basic needs of their life, should at least stop somewhere, desist from acquiring more, running after more money, running after more wealth, more power? It won't. That is at the root of human tragedy, particularly in the modern age. Howsoever rich you are, howsoever physically comfortable your life is, you are never happy, you are never satisfied. Your definition and limit of success is unbound, ever increasing. The bar is rising, they call in the management parlance. Setting the bar high. Who is setting the bar high for life? It's ego. Ego is always unhappy, unsatisfied, ever grieving. You give the entire wealth, power, pelf of the world to even one single human being possessed of ego, it's not enough for that one single ego. This is the basic premise you keep in your mind, which will enable you to understand what is ailing the humanity. And we all, as individuals, also are facing the brunt of the same tragedy. We, essentially speaking, all of us are already free, supremely free. Not conditioned by anything in a very fundamental and deep sense. But the ego-based individuality, the ego-based personality, and ego is an abstract word for ordinary human beings. If you are not a student of metaphysics or Vedanta philosophy or some other deeper philosophical systems, it wouldn't be so easy for you to understand the true dimensions of ego, the way it manifests in our day-to-day life. The ego manifests as thoughts. And there is nothing called mind. Listen carefully. There is nothing called mind except the compulsive chain of thoughts within us. Compulsive chain of thoughts alone is the or source of all desires. I am trying to put before you in a very, very simplified form the most fundamental problem confronting the humanity as a whole and individual life of all of us also. So I am not presenting the most abstruse philosophical problems in abstract terms. I am putting in simplified terms. So I am trying to put an exposition on the most fundamental problem afflicting the mankind as a whole, and we all as being the part of the collective consciousness of the mankind in our individual life also. So the root cause is ego. But what is ego? There is nothing called ego minus mind. And what's mind? The ego and mind manifests as nothing but compulsive chain of thoughts. So what? You would say, no problem. If repeatedly I keep getting thoughts, the chain of thoughts, compulsive thoughts. What's the problem? It's not killing me. It's not asking for food or something. You have not examined. Any number of books you read, any number of philosophical treatises you study, it's not so simple to understand the ego and the way it operationalizes in our life. Let me tell you to make it very clear so that you can understand it. And I will explain it not on the basis of only in-depth study of most of the philosophical systems, but personal experience, intimate, direct experience of each and everything I am going to put before you. And that is why I have been calling that self-realization or enlightenment or God realization or liberation is the easiest thing and yet the most difficult thing. It's a contradiction, it's a paradox. In the process, I'll be explaining it. It's simple because you don't have to acquire anything from somewhere else. You don't need to achieve or attain something from somewhere else to become enlightened or self-realized or God-realized or to become liberated. So why are we not becoming self-realized in large numbers? You have isolated cases when some individual cases when somebody truly gets realized or gets enlightened. What's the problem? The problem is the same that I was talking about, that ego and ego-based mind, and mind is nothing but the compulsive chain of thoughts. Compulsive chain of thoughts is that thin and thick both. Compulsive chain of thoughts is that thick and thin wall which has separated the immortal from the mortal. Or if put in a right perspective, it would be proper, but in a way it is separation. But before the dawn of the knowledge, it's a separation. So, the one who is full has become, or at least has believed, or is believing to be incomplete. The one who is essentially and really immortal has assumed to be mortal and momentary. The one who is free from all desires essentially has become a beggar, eternal beggar. The eternal begging takes place through what? since morning to evening, even you are the president or the prime minister of a country, or a great business tycoon, or great CEO of the richest transnational corporation, you are begging since morning to evening. This was a bold statement, but reflect it about. You are begging since morning to evening, and as long as you means what? I have already told you that ego, mind and thoughts are same. So ego is an eternal beggar. As long as you are dominated by your ego, you will continue to remain a beggar, perpetual beggar. So all the sense of want, sense of lacking in us, which keeps us desiring for more, something more, crop up through what? Through compulsive chain of thoughts alone. If you become aware and conscious about the quality and nature of your thoughts, you would realize that it's the greatest element, most fatal disease you are suffering from. But since you are living, and most of the humanity is under the hypnosis, you can say, under the hypnosis of collective unconsciousness. So you have lost the capacity to examine as to what kind of life, what set of desires you are chasing, what kind of objectives you are running after. You have never examined, you have never paused and bothered to explore and examine as to whether compulsive chain of thoughts which are forcing you to desire for more, one thing, another thing, another thing, another thing. Every day you have dozens of set of new desires, all created by thoughts, and you take it for granted that they are bona fide desires. So your life is being governed by a ghost, and you have ended up as a ghost. Most it won't look decent. Sorry. We haven't examined as to why we are being driven by something which is unconscious. We don't know the real reason. So, our inability to explore, examine, question our own mind and the set of desires which have been driving our life, we have never examined. Is there any even a single human being on this planet, this moment, I'm not talking about history or at the future moment, have you come across even a single human being who is not trying to succeed in some or the other thing? This is the most fatal disease the humanity has been afflicted with. Your desire to succeed in what? I have already explained that your needs, biological and physical need for your nourishment and protection, that is not desire. But you are always, till you leave the body, physical body, ever have some or the other target to achieve, to succeed. That desire to succeed is your greatest enemy. To put it differently, and it would look paradoxical, your desire to succeed is the greatest recipe of your greatest failure. It would appear as a mad statement I am making, but closer scrutiny by all the great philosophers and philosophical systems reveals that your desire to succeed is the guarantee for failure in whatever you do. The humanity as a race, or we as our individual human personalities, all of us are running after some other target to achieve and to succeed in that. So, why is it a recipe for disaster and recipe for failure? I'll explain to you. It's a deeper mystery of life. The existence is a greatest mystery. What appears as true is false, and what doesn't appear, what is not visible, is the eternal, immortal, and almighty power and almighty existence. Let me ask a question. If there is a girl who is a perfect beauty, listen carefully, it's a philosophical question. I'm using the term not extremely beautiful or most beautiful. I am using the term, I would say, a perfect beauty, 100 by 100. Someone who is 100% beautiful, if you try to improve that beauty, what's going to happen? This could be extrapolated in any dimension. Anything which is already perfect, you still want to improve it, what is going to happen? Is it really going to improve? If there is possibility of improvement in anything, then by definition it's not perfect. The girl I was referring to particularly, if you could improve in her beauty, then she was not perfectly beautiful. She was not a perfect beauty. And if she was a perfect beauty, then your attempt to improve her beauty will mutilate her beauty, disfigure her beauty, make her ugly alone. That is what the entire human race is trying to do exactly that. Why? Let me come to the fundamentals of human existence. We assume that we are mortal, momentary, vulnerable to external forces, and weak, ephemeral, imperfect. So we keep improving, keep desiring for more success, for betterment, for improvement, more beauty, more wealth, more love, more bliss. That is the fundamental ignorance of the mankind. There are two dimensions of human life. You have two personalities. Every human being has two personalities, two dimensions. One is false, illusory, momentary, ephemeral, and the other dimension of every human being, irrespective of his, her caste, class, nationality or religion or intellectual or spiritual growth, it doesn't matter. Every human being has two dimensions, and the one dimension is mortal, ephemeral, weak, vulnerable and susceptible to all external forces. But your real self, the first one was and is illusory self. You have been made to believe that you are that mortal body which was born at some point of time and it will die. That you have assumed yourself to be your identity. That is one identity. So most of humanity has identified with that only. There is other, that is the real personality, identity of yours. That is your real existence, and that is called in Vedanta philosophy as self, Atma. So, the body-mind identity of yours is a false, illusory, momentary, ephemeral identity of yours. But the illuminator, revealer, propeller of this mind-body is the light of consciousness that is called self, Atman. Not a fraction of a moment of your life can be run or illumined without the light of consciousness. And that is called Atman, Paramhatman, Brahman. In Christianity it's called God. Jesus Christ calls it somewhere God, somewhere it's kingdom of God. But the same truth they are indicating towards. That Jesus Christ would tell you, and he tells you, be still and know that I am God. Vedanta says, Aham Brahmashmi, Soham, I am that supreme reality. Jesus Christ tells you, the kingdom of God is within you. Vedanta philosophy tells you, Swarajya Samraj, you are the emperor of emperors as self, as infinite and vast space of awareness. You are almighty, you are all in all, whole of whole, perfect of the perfect. You lack nothing, you need nothing, and you are one indivisible, non-dual existence as self. That is your true reality, that's your true personality, that's your ultimate identity. And whether you are rich or very poor, financially or otherwise, it makes no difference. There is no power on the planet or in the cosmos which can even touch the grandeur and glory of Atman, the light of consciousness that illumines every second of your life. I am speaking and you are listening. Which energy is making it possible? The God is not sitting somewhere above in the sky or somewhere else in the Himalayas. Every moment, every single word being uttered through these mouths is being enabled by Brahman right now, right here, the power of consciousness, the light of consciousness. That light of consciousness is eternal reality and non-dual reality. It can never be divided. It's partless also. Nishkala in Sanskrit is called. Like this body, the body parts can be just cut off, chopped off, divided. But that self of the nature of pure awareness, light of consciousness, intelligence, which enables every single activity and behavior and relationship in our lives and the lives of every single living and non-living being. That is Atman, Brahman, and that is our true identity. That's what we are. So what? Even if all of us are that single non-dual reality, but I'm not happy, I'm not satisfied, I must have happiness, love, beauty, power, grandeur, glory, honor. You must be, if you are a genuine thinker, you must ask, and that's a valid question. My dear divine friends, these questions crop up only because we have not experienced. The moment you have a single test, a test for even a few moments, all these questions will disappear. Because that self of the nature of pure consciousness is by nature, intrinsically, inherently blissful. Blissfulness is inherent to self. What does it mean? It means something so deep and wide that you cannot believe it unless you experience it. Every single lover and beloved of yours you have met and you have been running after and you will continue to run after. Every single object of your happiness, joy and pleasure, every single object or person of beauty you have been running after or you will continue to chase and run after is nothing but just a particle, a ray, tiny ray, a shadow, very poor shadow, a reflection of the self within yourself, which is intrinsically blissful. Bliss is not the right word, but in English, this is the best word, which is translated for the Sanskrit word Ananda. Let me explain it. Ananda is that kind of unconditioned and absolute bliss, happiness, joy, pleasure, whatever the words you can imagine of. Everything is encompassed without any condition. There is no condition. That is called unconditional love. Unbroken, infinite, unconditioned love. The supreme beauty and unbroken, absolute, unconditioned happiness. That state is called bliss. And that is the sole property of Atman, the self alone. Nowhere else is even a particle of love, bliss and beauty is found. It's everywhere, wherever you have a sense of love, bliss and beauty, either in any object, worldly object or human person, it's all manifestation, reflection, shadow, a particle, what Vrihadaranyaka Upanishad calls. Yajnavalkya tells his wife Maitreyi that, "Oh Maitreyi, all the worldly pleasures, joys, glories, grandeur, love, beauty, the human beings subsist on is just a particle, tiny ray or particle of the bliss, beauty and love of the self within." So what we are running after in the external world and how we manage to get either as lover or beloved or any other object of beauty or person of beauty or object or action which gives us pleasure, joy and happiness, it's all poor shadow of our own Atman, the self. Self by nature is blissful. The self is not a gross entity, it's a conscious entity, Jada and Chaitanya. The two personalities I was trying to describe within each one of us, Vedanta calls Jada and Chaitanya. We have identified ourselves as body, mind, intellect, and essentially the body, mind, intellect are Jada, inert, unconscious. They have no power whatsoever. Not a single particle or iota of beauty, bliss and love is inherent either in body or body parts or mind or intellect. Wherever we feel a sense of sensual pleasure in contact with the other, either beautiful person or lovely person, it's a illusory perception of the bliss within manifesting in that person and that incident and that act. That the borrowed bliss, beauty and love in the external world creates an illusion that, oh, this person is so beautiful. Oh, the eyes, the nose, the lips, the face of that particular person, so beautiful. That sense of beauty or attraction appears to be the body part or that flesh, blood and bones, but the real power which is attracting you and which is getting attracted is nothing but self, which is of the nature of the vast space of awareness. Suppose I am sitting here, if I see some beautiful person, lovely person, or any action I may indulge in which could give me happiness or pleasure, it prima facie would appear, and it does appear that, oh, that person or that object is source of my sense of love, the sense of pleasure, the sense of beauty. That is the primordial ignorance. It's my own pleasure. It's my own love. That is the self, the vast space of awareness. Where is that happening? My cognition of the fact that I am feeling a sense of love or feeling being loved or enjoying beauty or pleasure, it's all happening within this infinite vast space of awareness. It's not happening outside me. Take for example, when you sleep and you dream, in the dream sleep you see sometimes that you are on a huge sea beach or some mountain, or within forest you are enjoying, or you are traveling somewhere in vast open field or in a township. How does it happen? You are right there, your body is there on a bed in a tiny room, you are lying there, you have not gone out anywhere, neither you have created any sea or forest or mountains, and yet sitting, lying right there on the bed, you feel during the dream that, oh, you are enjoying the beautiful sea beach, and there are thousands of people there on the sea beach. So you find yourself also there. Have you actually gone there? You are right here on a bed. So all that phenomenal experience happens in the vast space of awareness. Similarly, what we call the daylight experience, the awakening state, even this is a dream state according to Vedanta. We feel that the world that appears outside us, the world of diversity, multiplicity, duality, is different from us, separate from us, distinct from us. I am something and the object that is being perceived is something else separate from me. That is the illusion. Everything happens within the vast space of awareness, and that vast space of awareness called Atman, that you are, that I am. And that vast space of awareness within me and within... Sorry for interruption. So that vast space of pure awareness alone is the source, substance and substratum of all phenomenal world of duality and diversity. The one non-dual, indivisible, one indivisible, non-dual, pure and vast space of awareness is the source, substance and substratum of every single experience, every single enjoyment we undergo. So, the entire world of phenomenal duality is essentially false. It's illusory. The seer, seen and seeing, all this happens within myself. My real nature as pure awareness is the only reality. With outside vast space of pure awareness, nothing exists. I and the objects I perceive and the act of perceiving, all this is happening and does happen within the realm of awareness alone. That awareness is my true nature. That is called Atman, Param Brahman, the God, the supreme reality. And that is the conscious, uncaused, unborn, undying, self-existing reality. It doesn't depend on anything and anyone. And that you are. Right now, right here, not next moment or tomorrow after some japa tapa tapasya. No. You will not become God after enlightenment or self-realization or freedom. You are God always, every moment. You are nothing but God, the Brahman. But you don't realize that. So what we call as enlightenment or self-realization or liberation is realization of this truth that, oh, it was my illusion, my identity as this mortal body made of blood, bones and flesh was ephemeral, illusory superimposition of myself. This body made of the form and name is a modification, is a state of consciousness and awareness alone. That is my true nature. In my true nature as self, as pure awareness, the light of consciousness, I am unborn. Therefore, I will never die. And I am non-dual. There is no one other than me. If I manage to identify and realize that conscious space within myself, then I come to realize that there is no way and no force which can even touch me. Asanga, I am free from all attachments. I am akhanda. I cannot be divided. I am indivisible, non-dual. And inherently I am whole of the whole. I alone as self, not as body. Body can be killed in seconds. This body, mind, intellect, the senses, they are already dead. They never exist. Its appearance, just in the case of, if you stand up in the mirror, there is an illusory appearance in the mirror of yours, but it is not true. Similarly, this body identity of yours is an illusion, and you have identified yourself as this body, and you have taken for granted that body and body alone is your true nature. That is the cause of all sorrow, suffering and bondage. And there is no way, no amount of charity, no amount of penance, no amount of money, no amount of power, wealth or knowledge is going to make you free from your suffering, sorrow and bondage, unless and until first you disidentify with this body as my true self. As long as I continue to believe that, oh, my name is this and I am this body, there is no salvation for you. Not this moment, never ever. You are in perpetual bondage. In practical sense of the term also, day to day suffering. Every moment you are afraid of, oh, I'm going to suffer from this. What is going to happen to me tomorrow if this ailment happens? If I'm not going to eat, if I don't get pure water, if I don't get hygienic food, oh, I will die, oh, I will feel. Every moment you are living in utter fear. Oh, what will happen if somebody kills me? Oh, what happens if I meet an accident? You are always suffering from trauma after trauma. You have not enjoyed a single drop of nectarine bliss of the true nature of yourself, because you are always under the impulsion that, oh, I am this perishable body. So you are suffering from insecurity, fear, jealousy, hatred, sense of incompleteness. That makes you run after one object or one thing after another. So, continuous chain of thoughts. The chain of thoughts in your mind which are continuously producing one desire after another has bound you. All set of sorrows and sufferings in daily life of yours, I am not talking about next life or past life. Right now you can experience. There is no source of sorrow and suffering in your life other than your thoughts. Every single sorrow, every single pain and pleasure also is illusory. You just think in the mind. You either remember some incident of the past, on the basis of that you project something in the future. So every single set of pain or pleasure is created nowhere but in your mind, through your own compulsive thoughts. So, to put it in single sentence, Your mind alone is responsible for all these sorrows, sufferings and bondage you are afflicted with. There is nothing other than your mind, and mind means compulsive thoughts. If you manage to transcend your mind, that is, detach yourself, become separate from, you don't have to stop the compulsive chain of thoughts. That is not the problem. The problem is that you have identified yourself as those thoughts. That is the problem. Separate yourself as seer of those thoughts. You have nothing to do with those thoughts. You are mere witness to those thoughts. The moment you begin this journey, you separate yourself, you disidentify yourself with those thoughts. The journey for freedom right now, right here begins. The vicious grip that chain of thoughts and the ego and mind have put around you and which have made your life virtual. So, to put all this in very simple words and brief, what is your problem? The root of all your problems, sorrows and sufferings confronting your daily life is nothing real outside you. The greatest enemy of yours is your ego. That ego alone manifests as mind and compulsive chain of thoughts. As long as you continue to be guided, governed and dominated by ego, mind and compulsive chain of thoughts, there is no happiness, there is no possibility of peace in your life, success in your life in the true sense of the term. You will continue to run after one desire after another illusory desire. You will live the life of a ghost. Ever restless, ever feverish, dominated and driven by one desire after another desire, all artificially produced by your own thoughts, based on the memory of the past and projections in the future. So, the ultimate secret of liberation, freedom, or the way of self-realization and enlightenment is very simple, and yet it's almost impossible because we don't do that. To get rid of ego, dissolution of ego is liberation. Enlightenment is self-realization, because ego-based mind and mind alone keeps producing artificial chain of thoughts, compulsive chain of thoughts, which obstructs you from perceiving your true nature as Atman. The moment your ego is dissolved, your mind becomes calm, and you are free from compulsive chain of thoughts. Your true nature as self-existing light of consciousness, pure awareness, which by nature is bliss awareness, loving consciousness. you realize that you are infinite ocean of unconditional love. You don't have to do anything to enjoy infinite love. Love you are by nature. Love is your sole property. Love is nobody's property, never to be found other than within yourself, at the core of your heart. You are infinite ocean of love, joy, happiness, and infinite beauty, the self of the nature of pure consciousness, the light of awareness. It's free from death, disease, and deformities. It's absolute, almighty, infinite, energy filled. The moment you create an identification with that dimension of your personality, and after transcending your identity with this body, mind, that state is called liberation, enlightenment, self-realization, God-realization. Supreme freedom, because then you are all in all. Then you realize that you are the almighty power, infinite energy filled. There is no power other than you. You alone has manifested in the millions and billions and trillions of names and forms. And you are ever perfect, ever perfect. There is no demerit and defect in you as self. As long as this body, mind and intellect you identify with, you are a problem. Everyone is a problem. But even the greatest of the sinners, most gruesome sinners, the moment they disidentify with their ego, mind, body, and they re-identify with their self as pure awareness, all sin disappears, because the ego who was creating that bondage has disappeared, has dissolved. So, howsoever efforts you put, howsoever great efforts you continue to put in your life to become a good human being, a pious human being, a good character, a noble character, of course you will become slightly better. But as long as you continue to have Dehatma Buddhi, what Vedanta call, as long as you are driven by Dehatma Buddhi, that is, as long as you continue to identify yourself as this body, my body is myself, there is no possibility of any goodness in the real sense of the term within you, any character within you, any possibility of being helpful to anybody else. But the moment you break free from this false illusory identification with this body, mind and ego, and you re-identify yourself as pure awareness, you become free from all blemishes. Nothing can touch you. No sin has the capacity to even touch you. You are free from all blemishes. Have you seen ever, during the great storms, dust ever touching and contaminating the vast sky? Though it appears temporarily during the storms that, oh, there is dust and dusty haze in the sky, but it's just momentary. The sky is never affected, dust polluted, contaminated by dust or even the smoke. Even thick smoke billowing in the sky, it appears that, oh, it is going to envelop the entire sky. The sky has disappeared. But it's all illusory. The sky is so vast and infinite. Your eyes have been covered by that smoke. Similarly, the self is beyond all sin and virtues, because it's a perfect, pristine, pure reality, source and substratum and substance of every single existence and experience in the cosmos. That you are. You don't have to borrow from somebody else, from somewhere else, not the mercy of someone else. It's your birthright, fundamental right of yours, and every human being right now is God. Every moment you are God, you have always been God, you are God, and in the future also you will be nothing but God. The only problem is that you don't believe it. Since you have identified yourself with this mortal body, so you have become mortal, you have become ephemeral, trivial, eternal beggar. So your realization and non-realization, that is the issue. You don't have to become God. You are God, but you are under the illusion that you are not the God. Something else, somewhere else, someone else is God. Your ability to perceive the light of consciousness which makes every single experience of ours possible, that is called Brahman, that is called Atman, that is called Paramatman. In Yoga Vasishta, Guru Yoga Vasishta defines in a very simple and most powerful way about that personality of yours. He was addressing to Rama, Prince Rama, but you are that Prince Rama to whom it is being addressed. Equally applies to everyone. That verse is like this. Yena shabdam rasam rupam gandham janasi raghava tamatmanam param brahma janihi parameshwaram. Guru Vasishta says, Hey Raghav, Hey Ramachandra, that power, that light which enables these eyes to see and perceive, which enables these ears to hear, enables the nose to smell, enables the tongue to taste, enables the skin to experience touch. This power right now, right here, this energy is God. That is called Brahman. That is Paramatman. That is God. That is Supreme Ishvara. Right now, right here, if that God, that Brahman self is not available right within me, how I am feeling this experience that I am rubbing my own hands. How my eyes are able to see that, oh, there is this mobile phone through which I am doing live broadcast on Facebook. My eyes, that power is Brahman, that is self, right within me, present as the light of consciousness. the words which are coming out of me and the mind which thinks, the ability of mind to think and then speak out, it's all being illumined and revealed by none other than that Brahman, that Paramatman, that Ishvara, that is present right now. And that is of the nature of light of consciousness, pure awareness. So, and this pure awareness alone is present, and it's the infinite reality. As body, I am always dead. Everyone is dead. It's illusory existence. But as self, the illuminator of this body and mind is an eternal reality. That's Almighty. That is called Paramatman, Brahman. And that is my true nature. So unless and until I realize my true nature, not by going anywhere else, but looking within, breaking free from the external deep sense of attachment, I am bound, and I have taken this entire external world that is perceived through sensory perception, that I consider as true. The moment I turn my eyes within, it all becomes to appear. You begin to realize it's so illusory, it's so unreal, because you have never ever experienced the journey within the self, within the light of the light. You are able to run your life, every moment of your life, every action of your life, through light of consciousness. But you have never seen that light of consciousness. It's not so easy either. How to see the seer? Can my eyes see my own eyes? Difficult. Impossible. You can see only in the mirror. Similarly, whether you call self or Atman or Paramatman or the God or the supreme reality, that enables every single experience, every single cognition, every single knowledge, thinking, and all other actions and behaviors in our life. That is Brahman right now, right here, everywhere. I am talking to God, and the one who is talking here is God. The only problem is it appears it's true or many, but it's one reality, it's illusory. The God is talking to God alone, and the act of this relationship of talking or transformation or transmission of this information is also God. So that supreme reality is infinite space of awareness within which it's all happening. Only to the realm of the five senses there is all duality. The entire Advaita Vedanta philosophy, the philosophy of non-duality propounded by Adi Shankaracharya, is based on the fundamental principle I am saying because you have not experienced the one, and I have experienced. The moment I go and experience that, it becomes a perfect reality. And that is said, Mano drishyam idam sarvam yat kinchit sacharacharam manaso hyunmani bhava dvaitam naivopalabhyate. Is the fundamental of entire non-dual philosophy. Entire realm of phenomenal diversity and duality is only and solely because of the mental modification, The moment you are able to stop your mental modification, there is no duality, there is no form and name. Whatever remains there after mental modification is stopped, is vast space of awareness. Light of consciousness, which by nature is blissful, nectarine bliss, is intrinsic to my own, that vast space. That's why all the problems in your life have been created by no one else but your own ego manifesting as mind and compulsive chain of thoughts. So you don't need to do anything else, you just have to do one thing, and if you manage to dissolve your ego, and ego remains alive or operationalized only through thoughts. If you are free from thoughts, there is no ego, there is Brahman and Brahman alone, right now, right here. In every... And it cannot be experienced by other creatures, but human beings have been given that discriminative power, intuitive power, and that intuitive power instantly would make you realize that supreme glory of indivisible, indestructible, immortal, eternal, infinite potential of energy that you are. There is nothing beyond you. There is nothing separate from you as self, as your consciousness. So, you are not able to experience that true nature of yours only because of the clouds of thoughts. So, all in the name of your spiritual practices and sadhanas that needs to be done is, and that is what meditation and samadhi, and there are various ways, various philosophies, different paths, but I have, after studying most of them, I have come to deep conclusion, and not only conclusion on the basis of scriptural studies, by all my personal experience of more than 30 years. The intuitive realization that happens the moment you are free from thoughts, even for a moment, if you are free from the compulsive chain of thoughts, you realize what a wonder within yourself you are. You are begging for a single drop of love, appreciation, honor, bliss and happiness in the external world, the kind of love, bliss and beauty, and the vast empire of bliss and beauty that lies within yourself. That is the wonder of wonders. Whosoever through whichever path has reached to that truth, he has always said, that's unbelievable. It's a wonder of the wonders. The human mind conditioned by thoughts, borrowed thoughts of the collective unconscious humanity, can never believe it. It's always eternal beggar. The mind and ego are always eternal beggars. They are always desiring one after another, one after another. It's never fulfilled. So when it sees the vastness, once the mind and ego are dissolved, and when you are face to face, not face to face, just for the lack of communication, it can be said. But you are not face to face, but one with that reality. Then you realize that you alone are the entire infinite field of love, bliss and beauty that you might be running after, hankering after through many births and lives. And you have experienced just a tiny particle of that sensory pleasure. That's a very poor shadow of your own nature. Only then you are free from desires. and the ghost of desires. Vedanta doesn't believe in any other ghost other than the ghost of your desires, ghost of your thoughts, your own desires, your own compulsive thoughts alone are the ghosts. And that ghost alone has possessed you. You have to break free from that ghost of your own ego, mind, and compulsive chain of thoughts. Then you are God right now, right here, and everywhere. Even if you are alive in this body, the realization has to come deep, and you will be living an ordinary life, like an ordinary. There is a lot of tantrum and a lot of falsehood spread in the name of religiosity. The Vedanta philosophers will tell you the greatest of self-realized masters you can never know. They will roam around in the society like ordinary human beings, wearing ordinary clothes of even the garhastas, householders. This cloth has not so much to do with this enlightenment or self-realization or realization of truth. It may be helpful in a particular way, but anyone and everyone is capable of that realization, because you don't have to achieve or attain God or self or Brahman. It's always there as your intrinsic nature. At the core of your existence, there is nothing but the God and Brahman and Atman and Paramatman alone, illumining, revealing every single experience of mind. Every single word of mine is coming out, being revealed by that Brahman alone, the pure consciousness, Sacchidananda. So, the sense of lacking something, lacking love, lacking happiness, lacking joy, lacking beauty, lacking power, lacking sense of worth, it's all mental imagination of the ego. Ego will continue to tell you, oh, you are so weak, you run after, you succeed. Oh, this man has become the richest man, people are earning so much of money, you are so stupid. This is the ego which puts you in the bondage by misleading. Every moment of your life is being misled by you. And you, the compulsive chain of thoughts, are coming regularly from the collective unconscious mind of the humanity, broader part of the humanity. It goes on unconsciously without knowing what they are doing, what they are existing for, without knowing the true purpose of the human life. The true purpose of the human life is nothing short of becoming all in all right now, right here. Achieving all of all right now, right here. Knowing all of all right now, right here. Enjoying all of all right now, right here. All the enjoyments in the true sense of the term are my property. All the knowledge is my nature. All the grandeur, glory, creativity, might is my potential alone, as self, as the infinite power of consciousness, not as body, not as ego, not as mind, as revealer, illuminator of the mind body, the one who illumines. That one is my true identity. That one is my true identity. And unless and until I realize, not by reading the books or words of the Guru, but by aparokshanubhuti, what Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya calls aparokshanubhuti, direct, immediate, personal, intuitive experience of the Supreme Self, the Brahman, Paramatman, within yourself. Unless and until you experience by yourself all scriptural knowledge of millions and millions of books, no use. Of no use, throw them in the dustbin. They are only an aid and help towards a particular objective. If you just keep studying and reading the books and books and books alone, and you don't have the intuitive direct experience of that self, all is useless, trash. But they are useful only because they are pointers towards the reality. But the books and study of the books is not the objective. Borrowed knowledge, instructed knowledge, external knowledge is not to go and see the infinite and vast space of knowledge that you are. Prajnanam Brahma. Knowledge alone is Brahman. Knowledge alone is supreme truth. I am Atma Brahma. And that Atma, the self, is of the nature of that knowledge, intelligence, pure intelligence, which intrinsically is loving, blissful, beautiful. As in the case of fire, fire is heat and light are intrinsic and inherent to fire. The fire doesn't have to beg before somebody, oh please give me some heat, please give me some light. Have you ever seen? No. Because fire has inherent within itself heat and light. Similarly, the self, the Atman, Paramatman, the Brahman, the God within yourself is intrinsically blissful. Infinite ocean of love, bliss and beauty. All beauty is my own nature. All love and bliss is my own property. I am Saundarya Murti, I am Prema Murti, I am Ananda Murti, I am embodiment of bliss, I am embodiment, an infinite embodiment, not a finite embodiment. I am infinite embodiment of bliss, I am infinite embodiment of love, unconditioned love, no condition applies, absolute unconditioned love. And I am infinite embodiment of supreme beauty as the self. All the beauty in the external world, either in a boy or a girl or a man or a woman, or in a plant or a flower or animal kingdom, anywhere the sense of beauty you see is my own shadow, it's my own reflection. The beauty of the pure awareness that is within me, that alone manifests in the millions and trillions of objects which we think beautiful, or objects of love, or objects of bliss. So you are full of the full, whole of the whole. You lack nothing, you need nothing as self, as your true reality. No one can kill you. You yourself are unable. You, even if you want to kill, your true nature cannot be. It cannot be even touched. So you are immortal beyond touch, any harm, damage. No one and nothing can humiliate you, hurt you. As self, you are all in all. You are Atman, Paramatma. So, is there any greater pity in the life that the emperor of the emperors is begging like a beggar, word-thoughted beggar? Every moment of your life you are begging for some love, some happiness, some sensual pleasure, for momentary pleasure. You are infinite ocean of nectarine bliss. Ambrosial love is your own nature, and you are begging out of ignorance. You think that you are the body, mind, intellect. Your ego has made you bound. Your ego alone has made you this eternal beggar. So, dissolution of the ego is all that you have to do. And how to do that? There is nothing called ego, and there will be nothing called ego other than compulsive chain of thoughts called mind. The moment you transcend your mind, and most of the Western philosophy and psychologists will tell you that is the problem, and they are so primitive in their psychological research, they think that the mind and intellect are the ultimate energy field of knowledge. No. As long as the realm of mind and intellect are, it's all experience distorted, all knowledge illusory. Beyond the realm of mind, there is true knowledge, there is pure light, there is true love, bliss and beauty, and you become the infinite self-effulgent light of knowledge itself. So, mind has no independent existence. In Yoga Vasishtha it's said that self itself by its own volition imagines itself as an ego, a separate identity, and then out of illusory identity it runs after some illusory object in the external world. Therefore, when you manage to transcend your mind, you dissolve your ego, whatever remains, that is the true nature of yours, and that can be realized right now, right here, and that realization alone leads to true cessation of all sorrows and sufferings in your life, and then alone, and thereby alone, you really manage to fulfill all your desires. You become Satyakamaha. You become Kritakritya. You're free from all the sense of duty. You become free from any sense of achievement or attainment, because you become full of the full, whole of the whole. So, if you really want to do justice to yourself, you really want to fulfill all your desires, in a very fundamental sense, before I conclude, let me tell you that in the true sense of the term, if you manage to realize your true nature, then you realize that the path of spirituality is in the real sense not negation of your desires, but the ultimate and the only true sense of the term. It's the fulfillment of all your desires, because in that self-realization you realize that you as pure consciousness, as self, one self, non-dual self, as self of all, there is nothing beyond you. Therefore, nothing remains outside your own realm. You become all in all. You alone are all in all as pure consciousness, as Atman. Thereby alone, all your desires are fulfilled, and unless and until all your desires are fulfilled, there is no possibility of complete peace, permanent peace. That permanent peace is called moksha, liberation, enlightenment, self-realization. That is the ultimate objective of every human being. The rest, running the life, is, of course, you have to earn some money to feed yourself, but those are not objectives. So, if we manage to realize that the ultimate objective of ours is to realize our true infinite immortal nature right here in this body, and you put up your entire energy towards that, only then the true objective of your life is fulfilled, and only then there is a true vistas of true, immortal, unconditional and infinite vistas of love, bliss and beauty before you. the rest of the sensual experiences that we do have, these are all illusory, ephemeral, mortal. But that can be realized, and that is realized only when you realize that true infinite ocean of love, bliss and beauty that you are. And that alone, unless and until you become that infinite, unless and until you become in the sense, not that you are something else, and in the sense of realization, becoming God, becoming Brahm, doesn't mean that you are something else. Becoming means this alone, that so far you have identified with your body, mind, intellect and thoughts. So you are illusory, ephemeral, ego-based identity, always begging, always desiring, always running after one or the other object. The moment you manage to realize your true nature as a self, immortal, eternal self, then you realize that there is nothing remains to be achieved. There is nothing that needs to be known anymore, and there is nothing that needs to be enjoyed, because you, in that realization, perceive and realize that you are enjoying everything that is worth enjoying. You have known everything that is worth knowing, and you have achieved that everything. You have achieved everything that is worth achieving. In that sense alone, the sense of fulfillment and the sense of supreme satisfaction takes place. That is the ultimate objective of life. Let me wish and pray that all of you realize in this life itself your true nature, and you become free from all sorrows and sufferings, and all your desires are fulfilled by self-realization, realization of your true nature, the self within of the nature of pure awareness, bliss consciousness, infinite ocean of love, nectarine love, that you are, that you are. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Om Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Om Mrityurmaya Amritam Gamaya. Om Namo Namaha.